Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. So the last video you saw was the transformation of the back end, well the start of it. So we obviously fitted the G-Wing and it just adds some aggression and some shape to the back end of an S or a JCW or any model of the R56, to be fair, or R53. One thing I've never been a fan of and something I want to get rid of is that yellow diffuser section at the bottom. So not a big fan of the shape of that trim and want something a little bit more aggressive. So you could paint that black, you can get carbon versions, but something I've gone for is the GP2 Diffuser. So I've got that from Orange Performance, so you can see it in the boxes over my shoulder. So we're going to do a bit of an unboxing to see what you get in the kit, and then I'm going to show you me fitting it to the car as well. So let's go over to the boxes and see what's in there. Okay, so we've got the boxes here straight from Orange Performance. So they obviously supply all the parts that come from Mini, but they do a really good price on it, so I thought why not. Sometimes you have issues with getting GP2 parts from the dealerships, whereas I know I never have any issues getting them from Orange Performance. So first of all, we've got a load of bolts. So I think there's around 6 of those in total that we need for the kit. Then what else do we have? So as you can see, it's really well packaged from Orange. Wow. That's a really sturdy metal bracket, and as far as I'm aware, that sort of hooks onto the bottom end of the car and allows you to attach the diffuser tunnels to it. So that is a really solid bracket. It's a nice bit of work from Mini. Okay, so we've got a second one of them in the box. I won't bother opening that. Then it's the fun bit, the bit you see from the back of the car. Let's get that out. So here we've got the diffuser. As far as I'm aware, yep, so it goes that way round. You can see your exhaust comes through here and your diffuser tunnels attached there. Now, you can technically, if you wanted to, just purchase this part of the kit. You don't have to buy the diffuser tunnels, but then at that point it comes just a piece that you fit in for looks. It won't do anything in terms of diffusing that air, etc. You can do that, and part of my video I'll tell you at the point that we get to where you're just fitting it for looks and you can fit it to the back of the car. But we've obviously got to go the full hog, so we've got the diffuser tunnels to go for that as well. So let's grab those out. And then what you'll see there is it's actually the same texture as the arches, this black, so it fits in perfectly with the rest of the car. Okay, so the next box, so we've got two very similar, the diffuser tunnels themselves. Let's get that out. Again, nicely packaged by Orange, so they get to you safely. And we've got the diffuser tunnel itself, so it actually fits the car that way round, and you can see those are the tunnels that are the air. So again, a nice solid piece. I know you can go for like the challenge diffusers on the back of an R56 as well, but I think in terms of fit and finish, this is proper OEM. This will fit perfectly to the car. There'll be no issues, no cutting of the car or anything else to get these to fit. They literally should just bolt on. So I know there's a couple of tricky screws, but we'll cover that off in the how-to video as well. But yeah, again, nice OEM finish, so same texture as the arches and everything else, so it's going to look in place and look like it's supposed to be there. So can't wait to get that fitted. In this box down here, we've got the exact same thing, just the other side. Okay, so one thing I am going to do just to make my life a little bit easier, rather than trying to mess with axle stands, etc., is just get that car a bit higher. I think you probably need a little bit of height to make this process easier. So I'm going to cheat with my quick jack. So I've already set these up, already raised the car once today, so I'm going to just get it up in the air so it's easier with that back end just to get underneath and get all the screws out the bottom of the bumper, etc. I think it'll just make this job a lot easier. So I've got a review going up on the channel as well if it's not already been uploaded in terms of these quick jacks, where I got them from, why I chose those particular ones and the benefits of them, so keep an eye out for that video as well. But you can see there's plenty of room under that car now to work on. So let's go to that back end and start the process. Okay, so the first part of the job is to get this off. So you can see there's actually some movement in mine. I've had a quick look under the car, and there's a screw that should be just behind here, behind this trim. It goes from here to here, and same at the other end. For some reason that's missing on my car, so I assume at some point someone's had maybe a carbon fibre or black version of these installed. Or I know there was an accident. I mean, you can see the paintwork here. Please ignore that because I'm going to have the car resprayed a completely different colour. But in terms of the installation, so there are screws that go from here to here that you use a Torx bit, so I'll go underneath and show you where those should be. They're missing on my car, so I don't need to do that step, but I'll show you guys now, just so that you can see. Let's go under the car. If I show you, get the light in there, you can see the little screw hole there. So there should be a screw either end, so in your car you'd see a screw, and you have to come at it, quite tricky to see, but you have to come at it from in here and undo it. You can remove this piece of trim, this just clips on and off, just to get that screw out. And then what you'll see on the back of here are these little tabs, and what we need to do is just get a flat-headed screwdriver just to pop a couple of these out, and then what I'm hoping is it should be pretty easy just to pull this off from the outside. So yeah, that's the screw, there's one either end, and you get to it literally from up there where my torch is now, and that's the Torx bit. So that's one step. Luckily I don't have to do, because it sounds quite tricky, but just for you to be aware of, you would need to remove those screws before removing this trim. Okay, so if you can see, we've got these clips that run all the way along the back of the car, and what we're needing to do is just get a screwdriver in from above, so above this clip, and put it in between the bumper and this clip, and sort of lift up slightly. And what that's doing is allowing those to pop out nice and easily. So I'll go along the whole edge. It's a little bit tricky to hold the camera and the screwdriver and the torch, but you're basically popping these off. Once this is off, I'll show you from the outside, so it's a little bit easier and obvious. Okay, so you can see that's nearly off now. And all I'm doing is applying a bit of a pressure on the top of that clip, and they just pop out. So that's that last one. So again, apply a bit of pressure. If it doesn't just pop out, I'll drop the camera down, put a screwdriver in here, and that'll pop out, and that's that whole diffuser you can see there off the car. Okay, so we can see all the clips have popped off. You can see the clips a little bit closer now. They just all press in. So if I pull that away, that's off the car, and you can see that now gives us lots of room to fit the diffuser. One thing I am going to do while it's off is actually give my exhaust tips a bit of a polish, because it gives me a lot of space to get in and around them. So it might be a bit of a tip worth doing for you as well. It's just actually give your exhaust tips a bit of a polish while that's off and out the way. Okay, another bit that differs between cars, I don't know whether this is because this is a Cooper S with a JCW kit, but if you see here, there's a bracket this side, but not a bracket this side, so it'll be interesting to see how that impacts the diffuser. But what we are going to do is just drop this bolt out, and that is, yep, that's an 8mm. Let's drop that bolt out, because I think we may bolt through the diffuser into that bolt hole. So let's get that out. So that's that out. You can see, yeah, there's really becomes more apparent when I get closer, really bad paint job at some point, because this car had stripes as well. It looks like they've painted up to the stripes, because you can see really bad orange peel in this corner. But again, I'm not going to worry about it, because I'm having the whole car painted. Okay, so another thing I've done off camera is not only just give the exhaust tips a bit of a polish, just cleaned around this line here, just so you're not putting new parts onto a dirty bumper. What we need to do is grab the diffuser part now, the front bit, and clip that into place. Okay, so where I was mentioning we had these screw holes, we are going to have to remove these covers. So you would have removed them anyway, but to get them off, just pull those off. Worst case, if you can't get in, get a screwdriver in and pop it this way. So it looks like that just then, there you go, pulls off along that whole edge. So you need to remove that, both. So what I'll do is make sure I also remove it there, so let's give that a go. So again, screwdriver in, you can see that already coming off. We've got both of those off as well. I think that just gives us some room when it comes to clipping this front one back on. Okay, so the next bit is the fiddly bit from what I can see. So you've got to clip this on, so you slide it over the exhaust like that. Then we need to line it up into this gap here and clip it in. Now, videos I've seen, people struggle a little bit, so I might make it look a lot more difficult than it is, but you basically, as long as you line up the holes to the clips on here, you've just got to keep pressing, whether you're pressing from the back and the front, to pop those clips in. So I'll give it a go now. I might have to speed up the video a little bit, but from what I can say, you've just got to persist and keep going until it's all clipped in place and it's not going to fall back off. Let's give it a go. So that's one in. You know when you get those clips in, you get a really satisfying pop. You know that's not going to be coming back out again. So I think I've just got to work my way down the car, trying to get that satisfying pop, I suppose. And you can sort of feel it from the back, the clips going in. Would be my tip. So make sure you've got plenty of room. Get your hands in behind you, feel those clips slotting in. There we go. It's starting to go pretty easy now. So the tip would be, get your hand right up the back of the bumper and push right on the front on the clip and push either side of the clip on the back. And it just gives you something solid to push against. So obviously these bumpers can be a bit flexible because they are just all plastic. Okay, in the centre part, there is like a central alignment piece. Make sure that that's in place before you start clipping along. So mine is slightly out. I'm going to pull this side to just move the trim across a little bit. Okay, so one bolt that I've just noticed I couldn't see in the kit was this bolt here, so the bracket. So I obviously took this 8mm bolt out. It's a little bit crusty and old, so I do have a spare one in one of my toolboxes that I've just been and got hold of. And if I put that in, that's the screw in. I'll do that loose for now and we'll come back and tighten it. You won't see it when the car's on the ground, just one that you can see from under here, so you can see just there, and it will just hold this front end up. Okay, another thing you're going to have to remember to do that I can't quite show you is obviously we had to take screws from inside here that went from here to here on the old diffuser. I don't have those to be able to put them back in. I might have to work out a solution for mine, but obviously at this point you would fit your screw, so go back inside from up here and just bolt in between here and here, just like you did with the standard diffuser. Okay, so the next step is we've got to loosen these bolts off on the exhaust hangers so we can slide the big metal brackets in. Now you do have to do it on both sides, but I'd advise you do this side first, get the bracket on and get it bolted in place, then do the other side to avoid your exhaust dropping off. So let's use a 13. You don't need an impact gun, it's just I've got one to hand. Now I've already broken these bolts, if you think they look loose. That's 2 out. Then from what I can see, you literally hang those brackets in place there. You need to line up the bolt holes and then get those bolts back in. Line up your first one and just hand tighten that bolt in place. Then line up your back one and do the same. What I would say at this point is if something doesn't feel right, don't do it up by the impact gun or anything like that. Loosen it off and just see what's going on. Okay, so we can see those 2 bolts are done up now, nice and tight, brackets absolutely solid. Again, if things don't feel right, just loosen them off and redo them. So done it this side, we're going to go the other side now and attach the bracket. So just so you get a feel for which is the right bracket, so this is in the UK the driver's side one, and you can see, there you go, just so you can see which is the right bracket. Okay, so in the UK we're on the passenger side. and now we've got to slot the bracket over these, so we need these two 13mm undone as well. So again, nice and solid. Okay, so if we look from the back, we've got one bracket, two brackets attached. So we're getting ready to put those diffuser tunnels in next. Okay, so just before we fit the diffusers, I did just want to show you this because it slightly differs from some videos I've seen online. So if you look here on the back of the diffuser, so this is the bit that goes in the middle of the car, it's got this little sort of hook, and that hooks on. So if we go underneath my car, it actually hooks onto here, this plastic here, and stops the front end from falling down. So I don't think there's going to be any issues with security because it's going to be hooked on here, here, and here in terms of bolts, so it's going to bolt on there. Then also from the front edge of the diffuser, you can have bolts that go all the way along as well to hold it in place. So some of the videos I've seen, there's sort of a screw thing that you put on here. That didn't come in my fitting kit, so I'm not quite sure. I'll obviously put it on and see how it feels. If I feel it's loose, then we can always work out a solution. But to be honest, I think hooking it on and then bolting it in all these different places, it's not going to go anywhere at all. Okay, so next up we're going to put the diffuser tunnel on. So first of all, we know we've got this end that hooks onto the back here. So let's slot that on, and at the same time make sure your holes in this bracket are lined up as well. So we can see we've got that. We'll worry about this front end in a minute. So what I'm going to do is just drop one of the bolts in, just so it's not going anywhere then. It'll hold itself in place. Again, we could probably do it with this outer edge one as well. Just do it all finger tight to start with. Just what gives you a bit of room to manoeuvre in terms of the front end, because we've got to line this up next. If I show you from my view next, so you can see what I'm looking at. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is, obviously we've got these bolts, we can see we've got these silver bits of where these bolts have got to line up. Now one thing I would say that I'm really impressed with, and I've noticed while I'm doing this video, is I'm not using any lights or torches under here. So I'm using an iPhone, so the latest iPhone Pro, so I think it's the 12 Pro, and actually it does really well at the dark conditions under here. So you can see we've got those three bolts in, it's already hooked onto here. So all we've got to do now is line this up, and what I can see is I'm probably going to have to sort of push the outer diffuser out a little bit just to be able to line those holes up. And again, we've got to do a similar thing this end. So I'm going to put the camera down and try and show as much as I can in terms of this. So we're just lining up this front end now. So the one thing I've had to grab is a T30 just to be able to get these started. Looking at this end, that sort of slots in. There we go. That's got it. So hopefully this T30 is then lined up and we can just start doing those up. Don't have to tighten them up all the way, but we just want to make sure, looking now from the back of the car in, that we're lined up on these bolt holes. And what you can see is I'm sort of looking through here and doing them up. That one may not be lined up correctly because it's not going in, so let me have a look. Okay, so if I just show you from that angle, this gap is now starting to close up. So I've done everything loose, I haven't tightened anything up. So there's still a little bit of an air gap at the moment, but you can see the way this now all lines up. Obviously this gap will all close off once we bolt it all into place. One thing I noticed is because I don't have these screws in, this clip has come undone. So I'm going to try and find a solution. Obviously you'd have the OEM one, but I'm going to try and do that up so I don't have an issue with that popping out. So now we've done it on this diffuser, I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. Okay, one thing to remember before we move on to the other side is to just get these bolts done up at the back of your diffuser. So these are the ones that go through into that big metal bracket. So this will keep it all nice and solid and in place. Again, you don't have to go mega tight with everything. So I suppose looking at this, you can see why they put those screw holes in some installations I've seen, but this is not going anywhere, neither's this. I think once this bolt's done up, there's only a little bit of flexibility, but that's it. That's definitely not falling off, definitely not going anywhere. So you can see from this end now, all these bolts, all this is lined up and in place and all done up tightly. Here, obviously mine hasn't got that bracket, so I can't put that extra bolt in. So we're going to come now to the driver's side and do that. Okay, so that's the diffuser install nearly finished. So what we'll do, let's get the car on the ground and we can get the full effect on the back of the car and see exactly what it looks like. Wow, I'm so pleased with the back end of that car. So if you look, I like the fact that if you come from above, it sticks out an inch or so. Then we get that view from the back end. That looks so much better and adds the aggression that was needed to match that G-wing. So if we come round and look at that angle, looks so good. Excuse the mess in the background, still need to tidy up with other tools, but you can see that diffuser looks so much better. And it wasn't too bad to install. The tricky bit was getting actually the easiest bit, getting that bumper section to clip in. I thought that was going to be a lot easier than it was. The other big selling point for me is just how OEM the fit is on this. I mean, if you look at the fit and finish, it's absolutely perfect and couldn't be happier. Okay, so you can see the car's back on the ground now and looks absolutely amazing. Really happy with it. If you found today's video useful, please hit that like button and subscribe so you get updates on future content. So we've obviously done the diffuser and the G-wing. There's still bits on the front bumper, interior, lots of work still to go on the R56. This is just the beginning of lots of different mods. So again, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next video.